It, I'm listening to these people who try to come up with their little fantasy and creations of how they want me to perceive things. And, it is comical when they try to make you believe something that's just so put together and so manipulated. And their job is to make you accept these things. Now, these people want to be taken serious because what they do to people is horrible. What they're going to do to me is horrible. And they want to be taken serious, but the way they try to come up with their fantasy is just comical. It is clown-like. And you hear this person, as they torture my body, try to and come up with this fantasy of the things they put together, try to sound in a certain way. Now, I understand that what they do, a child can be doing this to me. It takes the least of any kind of bravery to do what they do. It is the coward-like things. It is like I said, they have a level of cowardness that will never be surpassed. Right? They even literally sound like children try to sound menacing. And so I was having a reality check where I put things back in perspective. They have ways to make you perceive and think in this illogical ways. And I hear this person, because my reality check of putting things in perspective, being almost mocked at, because it is comical. She said, "Oh, you're gonna have fun in prison because we're gonna frame you." Because she wants me to be like, "Oh my gosh, I should accept these things." It's like, listen, you see what they do to women? You see what they do to children? Whatever is gonna happen to me, there is dignity in this death, in this horrible whatever I'm gonna experience. There's dignity. I'm being tormented and tortured by some of the weakest human beings. I'm talking about these people are very fragile. And I'm not talking about just physically. I just see how they don't stand on anything. They do these things where they've been very cowardly. Like, that's when they try to show their honor. You see how easily they're just fragile. They use these childlike individuals that when you see them, it just puts you in a state of almost like you can't believe how fragile these people are. You hear this person who wants to be this femme, like fierce, mean. She cannot even say Roy Moore. When I say Roy Moore, it gets her even more frustrated because it puts her back in her place. That she's just the bottom feeder that these pedophiles use to do these horrible things to people. And when I mean these pedophiles, I'm talking about these agencies filled with pedophiles. And me saying Roy Moore brings up the fact that not only that you work for agency, and when I say work, I mean contracted. They're not directly working for them. They are contracted to do these things. But me being put in this program by my employer, right, which shows really who's responsible for me being in this program. Me saying Roy Moore because they can't say it openly. They say it in a very interesting ways to try to go around it. I say Roy Moore clearly, and it just brings them back to see how bottom feeders they are. As I'm going to be tortured in all the different ways, they tell me I'm going to be, urinated and the other things on me, which it's understanding coming from people who are frustrated that their fantasy of what they want it to be presented as cannot work. They even use the most ridiculous, nonsensical things to try to create doubts. Oh, you thought this person who was sick was not actually in coma, but he wasn't in coma. You see, the news didn't say that. So you see, what was like trying to find ways to make you subscribe to their fantasy of the facade they want to present. Obviously, I'm not going to give that. I know who put me in this program. People at this company put me in this program, and now I'm here. And these people who torture even children are doing this to me. Now I know that's what they do. I don't see them as monster or menacing individuals. They're just the trash conditioning, just trash that are just somewhere around you. Can be your neighbors or whatnot, or move right next to you and doing this. They dehumanize even babies. If you see them, you look at them like they couldn't even look at you in the face without looking down and with shame, with embarrassment. Or look at, and then you can see a sense of fear. I remember seeing this woman, she kind of like, it's just something just got into her. It's like, oh. But via V2K, oh my gosh, you should hear how they try to sound. They make themselves like just talking. Yeah, it's just not real. Like, I was so bored. Is it? Listen, I understand this is your persona when you are at war. They're not at war. These people are just experimenting on civilians. They even create this little fantasy of like them being at war. This been said by others. Now, I'm not saying anything new. But I know because I continuously bring up the reality of what they're part of. They're gonna do the worst things. And my brain is becoming slowly more and more illogical and more easily manipulated to think in different illogical ways. I know they can make me subscribe to things that makes no sense. But this is what my brain is manipulated. They've done everything possible to put things together to counter the reality. I can have all the validation in the world, everything possible, but let's just say something happened that has nothing to do with anything that is happening to me. But let's just say there was news that like it's just completely irrelevant. That has nothing to do with anything. But we use that to be like, you see, you thought that this was that. So what you're experiencing is, or what you thought, no. That's what they do. And that's their job. Now, this is the same people who can block out the fact that he's going to die and they don't know how that's going to happen. That's the kind of people that can block out the fact that he's going to come back to you, but they don't know when. They're the kind of people who can block out a lot of reality that they want to block out, because to do what they do, they have to block out reality. It's their actual war. The only war they're in is to counter reality. For example, they're in a program that does horrible things to a lot of women and children. They're blocking that out and say, oh, it's our torture. We're different. This is our directed energy. Oh, it's our budget. Let's move away from the same program that torture women and children. Oh, this sound this way. We're just bored. Yeah, no, it's us. It's our money. That's the kind of war they're in. The war of blocking our reality. Now, me, regardless of what's going to happen to me, I've said everything I need to say. My brain is for them to play however they want. But the reality is going to come to them regardless. And so whatever's going to happen to me, there's one thing I told myself. I will run toward whatever theater they need to create. Just to make them understand. Now try that. You think about, like, you can't even be seen by me. If somebody right now is going to do all horrible things to me, I don't want to be in pain. I'm like everybody else. If me can run toward that with no fear, with fear, and still go toward that, you can't even look at me because you know you're going to be seen for what you are. You're not scared of what I'm going to do to you. It's because I know what you're part of. And then you'll see how things come back to you. They're like, oh, it's going to be our torture. You torture children and women. The theater is what you're going to try to do. And I'm going to go toward that theater because I know what you guys do, torturing even children. And then you can live your life and wait for that moment to come back. So you see this woman? You see this, what they do? That is what they're part. This is their torture. They're going to try to create a theater to distance themselves from this. I will not going to let them live that fantasy.